Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're here with Eric Henriksen from Ping, Director of Innovation and Testing.
You got it.
Okay, so we're going to run through some 410 product line stuff. I've been dying to do this one in all honesty because I want to know how that you can improve on G400. I think that's the question on everyone's lips. Last year was an epic year really for you guys. I mean, all across the lines. We saw it in our store. It was an unbelievably successful year. We saw it on tour. How do you get better than that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So with this, we were trying to build on the technologies of the G400, and because those are obviously producing great performance for our customer, for our players. And one of the opportunities we saw was we were using a lot of hot melt to really dial in trajectories, both on tour and at the factory. And so one of the first things we wanted to look at and implement, it's been something we've been looking at for a while, was implementing something where the consumer and our fitters could really dial in that trajectory without having to resort to kind of custom hot melt. But the challenge there is to do that without sacrificing performance. And so that's one of the big reasons why you see this movable weight geometry on the extreme perimeter of the head. Anytime, you know, if we have to put extra weight somewhere, we want to do it as far away from the center as possible to make sure that we're not sacrificing forgiveness. And so we've done that. We incorporated kind of 3 positions there around the skirt, allowing to really unlock that ability for our fitters to really dial in trajectory, you know, in another dimension, left, right. We've had the trajectory tuning sleeve for a while where people can dial in the loft and their trajectory that way. We have a new trajectory tuning sleeve, so it's got 8 positions on it now, so a wider range of loft adjustment, going from a degree prior to now 1.5 degrees, so a wider range there. And then we actually have a couple kind of secret menu settings, some flat settings there that are unmarked on the outside of the sleeve, but are marked on the inside. So really unlocking a couple extra dimensions of fitting to really extract as much performance from the technologies that you see in the G410, a lot of them carrying over from the G400, and get that extra performance in the fitting environment.
I think the movable weight story is an interesting one because we've seen that before. There's been other movable weight drivers out there, but Ping's philosophy is always, we'll do it as long as it's not at the sacrifice of something else from an engineering standpoint. And that was the sleeve for you guys, wasn't it, originally? Weren't prepared to sacrifice aerodynamics for the sleeve or pulling too much weight away from where we want it. And it's the same thing with the weighting around the perimeter, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's a big thing. I mean, in innovation, we talk a lot about break-in trade-offs, right? We know that, for example, the easiest way to make something more forgiving and have higher MOI is to make it bigger. Now, if you can figure out a way to break that trade-off and actually go smaller while boosting MOI, you're now adding value and being innovative and not sacrificing in some other area. So that's a big discussion we have every day on every product line, is how do we break those trade-offs, and again, trying to do that and introduce this in a way where we're not sacrificing performance in another area.
The head size on what we consider to be the standard G model, which this is, a little larger this year, 10 cc larger, now at 455? 455
for the Plus and the SFT models. And so it's a little larger than the G400. But again, kind of incorporating the extra, you know, the adjustability and some of the structure there, felt we needed to go a little bit bigger. You know, still considering sound, making sure that, you know, we're paying attention to the acoustics and taking our learnings from G400 and applying it to the 410. Still using the same face, T9S Plus forged face. Really helps us extract a lot of ball speed. And then still thin crown. You'll notice an updated crown geometry.
Dragonfly's not gone, it's just been flipped over.
You got it. Right. So that structure's on the underside, and then there's just, you know, a new, more industrial kind of design flavor on the top, really something else for somebody to kind of cue off of from an alignment standpoint.
And I think that's important because when consumers sometimes get on the skeptical side, well, they said Dragonfly was this or our technology was that, it's still got all the weight saving benefits of pulling that weight, going as thin as we can in the top while still maintaining the structural integrity, just taking it away from the aesthetic. And put it on the reverse, which is great. So then you have the weight where you want it.
Exactly.
Down the bottom.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's talk about a little bit, touch if we can, on there's not a max model to match, and there's not an LST model to match. We're just going with 410 Plus and SF Tech for now.
Yep. So the LS Tech, so stay tuned for that over the next couple months. That proved to be a tough model to beat. G400 LST was
such a good driver.
A really good driver. Obviously a lot of use on tour, a lot of success over the last year. And we needed a little bit more time to really make sure that performance was outdoing the G400. We got a mandate. We sit with, John A and John K every week. Present our data, present our findings, present our designs, and if it's not exceeding our expectations and the performance of the previous generation, then we need to do that. And so a little bit extra time, so the LST will be coming.
And I think, honestly, the consumer listening to that and hearing that will take so much encouragement from a company that are not prepared to release something until you're absolutely 100% behind it, that it's an improvement on what was there prior, which is the integrity that Ping is built upon. That's really what it is. Integrity and innovation, and marry those two together, and you get some real solid foundations. I'd love to touch, I know we've not got the fairway woods here, I'd love to touch on the fairway woods a little bit, and some of the improvements on those going into 2019.
So again, the fairway woods built upon a lot of the technologies of the G400, miraging steel face, high strength, C300 face allows us to go thin, get a lot of flexing in the face, solid energy transfer, explosive ball speeds. One of the things you'll notice with the G400 line of fairway woods is a slightly more penetrating trajectory. So we've worked on kind of optimizing the CG placement a little bit more, a little lower spin characteristic. The space is a little bit shallower, about 40 thousandths shallower. And we're excited to offer an LST model. So we have our standard fairway woods, so 3, 5, 7, and 9. Then we have a 3-wood and LST, which is also at 14.5 degrees, which is the same loft as the standard model, but a little bit more compact shape. And again, about 300, 400 less RPM spin. So for those guys who really looking for that penetrating flight with their 3-wood, players 3-wood, somebody like yourself, and then we have our SFT as well. So the FST model, straight flight technology, really for those players looking to fight the mist to the right, and a 3, a 5, and a 7. A little bit higher density weight in the back, help us continue to boost the MOI. And then it also has the same 8-lobe adjustable sleeve on it. So you can go flat with the fairway woods and a full 1.5 degree range.
You can go all the way down to that 13. You can take it all the way up to 16.
You got it.
Interesting.
So really help you hit those gaps with the fairway woods, and then with the hybrids as well. Similar story. First time we've incorporated the trajectory tuning on our hybrid. So unlocking shaft fitting in the hybrid environment, as well as really helping dial in trajectories and gapping, and going flat with a hybrid, which I know a lot of players will benefit from.
Yeah, I think as a company that use foresight, we are paying attention so much now to dynamic lie angle, and we do it times C with woods. That toe is kind of really stuck up in the air. So for better players, in order to control the tilt of that loft exactly where we want it, in order to influence launch direction, that's such a benefit to guys like us in the fitting process. Brilliant. Well, I mean, there's so much to be excited about. I think we tested it yesterday. I know you were kind of around when we were testing it. We got the fastest ball speeds of the day with this, and it was a similar sort of feel and sound to last year. So it can only be good.
We're pretty excited. So.
Definitely, excellent. Well, guys, this is great for us to get it straight from the guys who are in the engine room, making this happen on a day-to-day basis. So this is exactly why we want to be trying G410 this year. We certainly will have it at TXG. Try it wherever it is that you go for your testing and fitting, and then make sure it's on your list to try. Eric, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Thanks.